Are you afraid you don't really know what it's going to take to buy your first house? Well, we're going to talk about one couple's experience in getting their first home and how they can actually help you to learn more about that as well. Hi, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Dollars and Cents, Happy Community Credit Union's Financial Literacy Podcast. Coming back to the studio today, we've got Brenna, now this time joined by your husband, Kekoa. Welcome to the podcast. Today, we're going to go back in time a little bit to younger you and buying that first house. And if we have to go even further back in time, then we can talk about my first house, but that's that's addling the brain a little bit to think that far back for me. Yeah. Welcome to the podcast. How are you guys doing today? And welcome back.
Good. I'm happy to be back. We're super excited about this episode, and I hope the viewers are too. Happy to be here.
Yeah, I'm doing good. It's a great day, so.
All right. Now, is that how you were feeling the first time that you guys started talking about the concept of buying a home? Because today we're talking about first-time home buying. Mm-hmm. Were you this excited about it, or were you nervous? Were you scared?
I was ecstatic. He was not as ecstatic. I was super ready. I was gun-ho, let's do this thing. And he was like, wait, we're not as ready. But you guys, happy wife, happy life. So you guys know what we did on a house.
That actually rings a little bit true for myself on the last house that I picked up that my wife and I are in now. We were in our starter house for way longer than we ever expected to be. And it was definitely time for us to move. Was it a life change or a life moment that prompted you guys to take a look at that and realize that you need to move forward? Was this kind of like goal oriented? Like, I need to own a house by the time I'm 13 years old or 23 or 42 or whatever the number was?
Yeah, I don't think there was like a time frame that we had necessarily placed on it. We had been renting an apartment, and one thing that like my husband had constantly brought up is the fact that we were spending X amount of money that was, not necessarily going down the drain, but it was going to someone else. And
rent is an expense, not an investment, whereas a mortgage is much more like an investment.
Exactly, and that's basically the way that we looked at it. So we thought, this money could be going to a house, and so we made the jump.
Yeah, and as we were starting the process, rates were pretty low. They were sitting about 3%, and within a month or two, they jumped up to 5.5%. So that's kind of pushed us to get into a home, because if we waited any longer, they had jumped to 7% about another month or two later. So we wouldn't have been able to afford a home. So
for years, probably.
Yeah.
I was going to say that is one of those factors that's out there as far as like trying, especially for younger people, to get into a house, is that volatility. Volatility might not be necessarily the right word, but kind of those rates.
Yeah.
And I think seeing those rates back when they were in that 3% range and seeing them up at like a 6-7%, you start to kind of think, wow, everything is really bad. But then you think a decade or two before that, rates were well more in like the 12 or 13% range.
Yeah.
So like, I feel like we've got this interesting balance of views of who thinks these rates are really good versus really bad. Mm-hmm. I think everybody would wish everything was down to that 3% range.
Right.
I managed to get in on my current one in that range. Thank you. It is, I did evaluate how big that percentage makes on that payment, and it is a pretty big difference in what you can and cannot afford. Mm-hmm. How much of that were you guys really looking into as you were making this decision?
I would say a decent amount, just because things moved so fast, and we figured that, if they continue to get worse, that we just wouldn't be able to do it. So, and we had already been looking for a few years. I think it was, we started the process about a year or two before. Yeah. And rates were kind of big. They were about 3%, and the numbers look great. The properties were, selling for about $50,000 less than they were when we bought, $100,000. But so we had looked at rates quite a bit prior. So when we were to the point where we were serious about buying a home and how fast they were moving, we knew we had to jump on something just because of how much it affects your payment.
Yeah. And we, as well as when we started shopping, We had put in 8 offers on different houses before we actually got into the one that we got because rates were so good.
Yep.
Everyone wanted to buy. And I think that's one thing that my husband also tells, not just first-time home buyers, but any home buyer is that, okay, yes, you might want to wait for when rates come down, but as soon as those rates come down, the prices are jumping up. When we put an offer on the house that we got, we were $25,000 over asking to secure that house.
Yep.
We had beat another offer by $500, meaning that there was another person going 25 grand over asking on that house. And this was just a simple 3-bed, 2-bath house. So, you know, there's pros and cons to having that low interest rate. So we ended with a 5.5. We got into a nice starter home.
Okay.
But I mean, we fought for that because all the other houses we didn't get.
And that is kind of a thing that, like, when you have those really good rates, I do remember when that was happening, it was almost impossible to find some houses within different price ranges.
Right.
I think in particular, like the $250,000 range was almost impossible to find a house. They would hit the market. And then they would immediately sell for 25, 50,000 over asking prices.
Exactly.
These bidding wars would start. Did that discourage you guys when you were going through this?
Yeah, I think we were honestly just about to give up. This house, if we didn't get it, we were going to stop. Do you remember?
Yeah.
That was our last resort, basically. we had talked about it. Rates had jumped up pretty fast. Like you said, when we started shopping, we were shopping with a 3%. We ended with a 5.5, which actually took our mortgage, our monthly payment up by what, $800? There was an $800 difference from when we started shopping to when we bought.
Yeah.
It was a huge difference.
Yeah.
So after putting in 8 offers, constantly getting rejected, we had some close moments where they verbally accepted our offer, and then within 30 minutes they got another offer higher than ours and took that
they would
one.
use our offer to, stronghold other, buyers to come up. But as, to also mention, when we were shopping before this home, this is the first, it might have been the second home we looked at that was actually on the market. Being a realtor, we were looking at off-market listings. And a majority, I think all of them were townhomes because you could typically get, a little bit newer townhome and a bigger home as well. So, yeah, it just wasn't the same as buying something that's already on the market. You're working realtor to realtor, not, me to seller, right?
Yeah.
So a little bit different of a process as well on that
So
end.
with that, being a realtor, you had a bit more knowledge going into this and technically maybe a resource or two more than the average person has.
Yeah.
Did you feel like your job working as a realtor gave you a good understanding of what the process was that you were going to be getting into?
Yeah. I was still pretty young and pretty new into the business, but I did have a decent understanding of what I was doing and what the process was going to look like. But I've learned a lot over the past few years as well. So, I know a few more tips and tricks nowadays than I did then. But, yeah, I did have a pretty decent understanding of what the process was supposed to look like. So,
all right. Now here's the big question. Did he communicate all of that to you for this process as well? Did you feel like you had a pretty good grasp on what you guys were getting into when it came time to go through that first mortgage?
Yeah, actually, he shared a lot with me, and even now he shares a lot with me. Like when he goes through deals, he likes to make the comment that I think I'm a real estate agent because I think I know a lot. I know I don't know everything when it comes to real estate, but I understand like some of the terminology and whatnot that he says. But yeah, he shared a lot as much as he could.
I'm glad she felt that way. She was my toughest client by far. So.
I was a very tough client.
Very picky and.
Well, we had my parents were co-signers on it as well.
Okay.
So they were coming along to like all of the showings, and they had to. I mean, in some sense, they had to approve of what we were getting ourselves into. So. I mean, he had me as his client, but also my parents as a client as well. So that was probably really fun.
And how old were you guys when you went into this?
I believe we were 19 and 20.
So very young as far as most home buyers now. As a real estate agent, what do you think is the average age that you're seeing for people that are getting into a first-time home buying situation?
I do work with a lot of younger clients, but I mean, average on my clientele, I'd say is about 25 years old.
Okay.
But, I've worked with, clients a little bit older as well. But a lot of young people are buying homes these days.
How many of them get into the process early and then realize they've got a lot of extra stuff that they need to do to be ready for the actual purchasing of the house. Where they're like, oh, I'm ready to buy myself a house. I'm 19. I got this. Oh, I haven't planned anything as far as putting my finances in order to get to this actual purchasing point. It's going to take me a year, 2 years to get to a point where I'm actually ready.
Yeah, I'd say a majority of my clients, you know, they reach out for me for that purpose because they don't have a lot of knowledge with first-time home buyers. So I can explain it to them and help them understand what they need to do to get ready. A lot of people don't know what they need to do to get ready. So we sit down with them and explain, okay, this is where you need to be. This is where, you know, income, work history, credit score, things like that. And then we kind of come up with a game plan and just follow up with them from there and, you know, make sure they're doing the right things and we're answering all the questions they have as well. So, but yeah, a majority of them, you know, takes about 6 months to, I think the client I've worked with the longest was about like 2 years, something like that. So, yeah.
How much of that is somebody walking into it realizing that they need much more down payment than they thought? They need to actually set aside some money for that 10, 20% down to get into a rate that they're really hoping for, versus maybe a credit score situation where they've got to spend some time going through the process of kind of repairing might be the right word, but just bumping it up even a little bit.
Yeah. I think I run into more scenarios where clients need to work on credit than come up with the down payment because you have, you know, all these programs, you know, down payment assistance, and so they just need to come up with like closing costs and things like that. And oftentimes we're getting sellers to cover those costs. So more often than not, we're having to work on work history and credit.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was going to say, if I recall correctly, one of the other things that they really want is information back X number of months to prove your income, to prove that down payment, to show that you haven't gone and sold a kidney from somebody that you don't know that you just met in order to afford this. Just kind of shuffling those things around, making sure that they're all in the right places. Did you guys have to go through that yourselves?
Yeah, we did. They go through everything. They go deep and make sure, you know, you're not financing anything on the side or, you know, making payments here or there. So, yeah, we had that. We had a fair share of that.
With my parents being co-signers, my dad's like self-employed because it's family business and he is, you know, shareholder of the company, but since they were co-signers, they had to go through all of my parents' like finances as well as ours. And I don't even think did we have credit scores?
Yeah.
Both of us? Okay. Anyway, my dad had made like Venmo payments of like $50 to $100. And they were like, we need you to write a letter stating what those Venmo payments were to. So that's kind of how, but I think it was because he was probably self-employed. So for anyone that wants to buy that's self-employed, just know they go through everything. And that happened the week of closing. So we actually when we were supposed to close on our house, it got pushed back about a week.
Yeah, about a week. Yeah, your dad was out of town.
Yeah, my dad was out of town, but underwriting, so right before closing, underwriting was going through all of these things, and my dad was like, I have to inform them on another thing now. Anyway, so that's something that I think that was the first time you had seen something like that too.
Yeah.
With self-employed and them being super, you know, picky on what they're finding in your finances.
So I know when I went through this with my last house purchase, I was also self-employed.
Okay.
And so I actually have experienced that as well, having to go back and print up my transaction histories and justifying like, no, I do make this much money. This is this is my work statement. I don't have a direct deposit to show you, but I can show these things.
Yeah.
And my wife's fully employed, et cetera, et cetera. But we had talked with our mortgage loan officer and our real estate agent and had started getting that stuff in order beforehand, knowing that because we had been through this once before as well.
Yeah.
So kind of knowing that ahead of time, just knowing to get those documents in order, made sure that we didn't have a week before type of thing where I had to write a letter about like, you know, Venmoing a friend $50 for lunch.
Exactly.
Once you've got all those things put together, just for everybody that's out there listening, what would you say is the generic concept of the full process that a first-time home buyer is going to go through as they see this? Who should they be talking to early on in order to know what they need to be prepping? Because like I said, I had worked with my loan officer and my real estate agent. We started prepping those things, getting them in order early on, because we knew that was going to be a thing coming up.
Yeah, yeah.
And knowledge is super helpful when it comes to these things.
Yeah, yeah. I'd recommend, at least 3 to 6 months prior to when you plan on buying, just because you just never know. If you just transfer jobs, or you might not know where your credit score is at exactly. So just finding out all the things you can and coming up with a game plan to, if it's credit, coming up with a better down payment, or making sure you have all the funds for closing. That's all extremely important. So when it does come time to buy a home, you're in the best scenario, and you're not worried about anything, right? So,
yeah. I know for anybody that's out there listening, there's a number of tools that are out there to find out what your credit score is for free without taking a hit to your credit.
Yeah.
A soft pull or even a hard pull on your credit tends to put a little bit of a ding in that credit score. But there's a couple of tools out there. I know that we have one on hapo.org through a group called Savvy Money. That will provide you your credit score for free, so you can go get a good idea of what that's going to be before you go and sit down. So you can bring that information to the real estate agent, to the loan officer, and say, hey, is this going to put me in the range that I need to be in? Do we need to make some of those modifications? And then, of course, working with everybody ahead of time, get that pre-approval, figure out what your range is, so now you can shop for the appropriate house.
Yeah. In your price range, in your budget, not $100,000 more.
Yeah, finding those and then realizing like maybe I can stretch 20,000 further. I definitely did that.
Most people do.
Happy wife, happy life, right?
It's worked out well for me as well, as far as that part goes. So once somebody's done that, now they've got their approval, they're rearranging all of their finances so that part goes smoothly, getting to a point of what's next in that process for the people out there who don't really quite know what's going on. Yeah,
so I would, connect with your lender, connect with your realtor, and kind of talk to them about what you're comfortable with affording for a home, because then they're going to give you a price range where you could be shopping in. Then you can start understanding the market. What are things, how are slower things moving, how fast are things moving? Because that determines, am I going to have to come in underpriced, or can I come in underpriced? Can I ask for closing costs, or am I competing? Do I have to throw a stronger offer, and things like that? So just understanding those things so you're prepared to when you're ready to start throwing in offers and negotiating, all those details.
So now we're at the fun part, though, which is the actual shopping for a house, window shopping, like almost literally shopping for windows inside of walls, and getting to go around taking a look at like the different neighborhoods, the different houses that are available, hopefully finding houses that are in your price range, unlike when rates were down at 3%. Right. There was nothing. So let's go ahead and jump a bit forward. We're ready to make an offer on something. Yeah. Now I'm definitely talking with you, a real estate agent, to get that offer put in on this house. I now sit back and wait, or am I being active in this as the home buyer?
Yeah, I'd be active. Just constantly looking at Zillow, just understanding what inventory is, constantly talking to your realtor, asking him, what homes in my price point can we be looking at? We do have a luxury now where we're not having to throw in offers without looking at homes, right? That was something that was pretty nuts in COVID. We had a lot of people moving from out of state and just didn't have time, or, you were competing with cash offers. So you just didn't have any time to, go and check out the home and maybe look at other options. You had to
you got your pictures online, and
that's what you see is what you get, right? But you can shop up to multiple houses right now. Market's constantly changing, so looking at the inventory that we have and coming up with a game plan on, okay, if I ask for closing costs, or if I come down with the price, whatever that may look like for you. Every situation is a little bit different in that scenario. What's more important to the buyer is very important.
So what we're going to do then is we've shopped around, we find our place, we put in our offer. We get a response from the seller, most likely, because if they don't, then why are they selling if they're not going to respond?
Yeah.
Typically, their answer is yes or no, and that's it. Flat yes or no. Or is that not going to be the case, and we're going to have a lot more details that we get to talk through and negotiate?
I've seen a lot of yes and no's, and I've also seen a lot of counters. They can come back and adjust a few things within the contract. It just depends on, okay, how long has this house been on the market? Has it been on the market for a week? Are you getting a ton of showings, or has it been on the market for 3 months? In that case, you're a lot more likely to get a yes or a no.
Yeah.
Super upfront. But yeah, now you're starting the deadlines and having to check off all these, things once you're under contract. Yeah.
You threw a scary word out there, deadlines.
Deadlines, yeah.
Yeah. So now I'm on the hook. I've got to do some stuff as the buyer or the potential buyer in this case. The seller on the hook for any of these deadlines as well?
Just depends. Are they looking for are they shopping on another home?
Okay, so we might have some pending sale type of situations. As the buyer myself, we're going to go through, we're going to hit our deadlines. I assume that we've got like some time frames. We're going to get an inspection on this house.
Oh yeah.
Because we want to make sure we don't want this sight unseen situation if we can avoid it.
Yeah.
Make sure that we're getting a house that's put together properly.
Yeah. And sorry to cut you off, but on the seller side as well, up front, no, but you are going to have to, once inspections happen, you're going to have to start doing repairs, or if they're asking for repairs, you do have deadlines for those. So
and respond that maybe, you know what, I know that you think that you want this, but I don't want to do it.
Yeah.
So maybe a mixed bag of responses from that repair list or the inspection report. You're like, oh, well, that light bulb was out. I need you to change that. They're like, you know what? You can buy your own light bulb. Or maybe there's not a grounded circuit at a place and we want you to put in a GFI circuit.
Right.
Outlet talks. Oh, yes, I got to do that recently. Super fun. So we get through all of this. Let's say we're all amicable. We get through this process. Now we are waiting for them to hand me the keys. Where are we going after all of this? We're okay. We're waiting for the magic word that's been mentioned a couple times, closing.
Closing, yeah. So once you're done through inspection, you get back the appraisal and everything's good to go. You're just waiting for a few things on the loan side of things, make sure everything's balanced and money's where it needs to be.
Waiting for the underwriters, waiting for the letters about Venmo payments,
checks, and and whatnot. But once everything's finalized, you set up a time to meet at title and sign in your keys. And
we've got a whole nother process now. We bring in a third party title companies, which is all the deed. Everybody's heard the word. Very few people probably know what it actually is. The actual legal recording of ownership of the property. Because it will almost be you, but not really, because there's a big chunk of money and most of us aren't walking up to one of these things with $500,000 cash to set down on the table.
You'd be surprised.
I said most of us. But that means that this we're going to do the title. We're going to sign a bunch of legal documents. Your hand is going to get very sore and cramped signing your name over and over and over again.
Yeah. Speaking of that, we had to sign twice because I think
mine. My signature didn't line up.
Yeah, she had two different signatures.
I do a scribble signature.
It's hard to repeat.
Didn't scribble it the same way enough times.
No, I didn't, so we had to do it twice.
But they came prepared, so.
Hey.
Yeah, we didn't at home.
Okay.
I mean, an at-home signing. Yeah, so they came.
Oh, mobile title.
Yes,
very cool. I know all of mine has been at a title company, walking into a nice conference room. Sit down, they offer you like a water or something, and here's a very uncomfortable pen to sign with. It seems like it's a fine pen initially, but after you've signed your name on the 40th document, So at that point now we're handing over keys. I've got a new home, and we get to go into the process of paying for it, which is everybody's favorite part.
Oh yeah.
But we also get to move in. We get to go through the actual process of being a new homeowner.
Right. Switching over all utilities and doing all the demolition and painting your rooms. Yeah, it's all the fun stuff.
All right. So what we just went through there very quickly is a month-ish long process from offer to closing. Maybe a month is even a little fast. I think Like might be a 6 weeks-ish time frame.
It's typically about a month. I've closed, most of my closings are within less than a month.
Okay. Yeah. So yeah, about a month long from I've had my offer accepted, I'm closing on this and it's now mine. Mm-hmm. That is a lot of time that we just condensed into about 10 minutes worth of chit-chatting about that process. Yeah. I guarantee you we did not cover all of the ins and outs of what that process entails. Mm-hmm. Which brings me to the other reason that we're talking today, and that is that you obviously have a passion for helping people through this process. One, it's good for business, and two, it is great for people to know what they're getting into before they do it.
Oh, yeah.
So you guys are prepping to host a first-time homebuyer seminar. Am I right on that?
Yeah,
yes,
next
we are.
month, March 16th.
Okay.
What time was it at? It was 6 o'clock?
Yeah, 6 o'clock at CBC.
We'll have more info on that.
Yeah.
Social media.
So keep an eye out for this event. Tell us what it is that everybody can expect to get out of this event. Who should be showing up for this? Is anybody too far out to learn what this process is, or too close to their what they think is their buying date? Who's the target audience here?
Not at all. This is for anyone thinking about buying a home, thinking about selling a home. You're going to get all the information from a lender's perspective, from a realtor's perspective, and learn a few different terms just so you're prepared. It's a big introduction to start the ball rolling. Mm-hmm. We're not going to be able to cover everything. We're going to be, I think it's about an hour and a half, so we're not going to be able to go over everything in detail, but it's a great conversation starter, and we hope to then transition to in-person conversations, mm-hmm. one-on-one, and really diving deep and so you understand the whole process.
Get a chance to talk to real estate agent, loan officers, financial education, I believe. So potentially coaching for the credit score mm-hmm. situation that we mentioned earlier. Mm-hmm. Really kind of talking through, and of course,
just for fun.
Yeah, why not? I mean, you're basically a real estate agent. We learned that at the beginning of this.
That's what I tell people. Yes,
Zillow expert.
I'm a Zillow expert.
Well, and honestly, even those tools are fantastic to learn if you don't know. Uh-huh. Being able to figure out how to go look through the listings, the MLS listings, mm-hmm. and the tools that you can get access to. Mm-hmm. But mostly to learn what this process is going to be for people who have never seen it or been through it before. Mm-hmm. I know it's easy for me to be like, oh yeah, I know what's going to happen. I'm going to go sign a bunch of documents and I'm going to go talk to this guy and this guy and this gal, because I've been through it a couple of times. So I know the first time I went through it, I was just like, oh boy.
And I'm sure the second time it wasn't the same as the first. It
was a little bit different. Yeah,
a lot of updates and changes in forms and whatnot, and
but
a lot of legal things.
I think having been through it before, knowing that it's going to be this rough outline of what we're going through, I had much less trepidation about the process. I knew where to start. I knew who I was going to go talk to. Yeah. When I went and did the first one, I was like, who do I talk to first?
Yeah, I think sometimes it can be super daunting when it is your first time, but I think most people don't realize that sometimes you're actually closer than you think to buying a house. And with this workshop that we're doing, it's never too early to get the information. If you're still we have some friends that they're still in high school and they're planning on attending just because they want to know, when I get out of high school, within the first 2 to 3 years, we would love to buy a house. So just getting the information, knowing what you have to do, and then you can even make a financial game plan for the next 2 years, right, when you're out of high school, and then you can be homeowners by the time you're 19.
Well, and information's never a bad thing.
Yeah, exactly.
Learning what that process is, if you don't know what that process is and you're concerned about it and you don't have a game plan, then 2 years from now, you're going to look back at this and be like, you know what I still don't have? Any information or a game plan.
Exactly. Yeah.
I feel like that is one of those things, though. It's like learning that maybe it's the credit score. You're like, I could be good to go if my credit score was 100 points higher, mm-hmm. because mm-hmm. that might affect the rate that I can get. That 6% versus 5.5%, which, again, we talked about it earlier, can make a pretty big dent in that monthly payment that you need to make.
A few $100,
yeah,
which is a lot.
And when we're talking about one of the largest expenses that you're going to have in your monthly budget, a couple $100 here or there is an entire streaming service.
Yeah.
Like that's all cable. You'd be like, okay, I can either bump up my credit score a little bit or give up, I don't know, Netflix and Hulu and live sports and like check off a couple of items that are a couple $100.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, I mean, I could probably put in a little bit of effort to raise my credit score and keep those luxuries.
Yeah, especially if you're a year away, 2 years away. When you have time, you have a lot of time to prepare. So you're in the best shape.
Well, and I think a friend of mine recently purchased a house, her very first one as well, went through all of this, and she wasn't exactly sure how she was going to handle the difference in the cost of her rent versus the mortgage payment that she was going to have, because it was going to go up.
Yeah.
And you know, for everybody that might not be the case. For her, it was going to be. But she also needed to put enough money away to do her down payment. And so I suggested to her that she open up a secondary savings account or a sub-share and start transferring the difference in what she thought her mortgage was going to be and her rent. So she's going to live on her current paycheck as if she's paying her mortgage.
Yeah.
And every couple $100, every check that went into that account is now building up towards her eventual down payment. And I want to say it was 9 months to a year later, she had made her offer on the house and got the house and never once blinked about it. It apparently worked out very well for her, but that was because she made a plan and stuck with it, like financially organized everything and got ready.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's super smart. I never even thought about that.
Yeah, same here.
Random, unexpected wisdom today.
Yeah.
Normally, I'm not bringing
use
useful
those funds
things
for like a down payment or something like that.
Had everything kind of set aside, and it was earmarked for that because she knew she needed to set some money aside for it. And this was just a good way to get used to living on that new budget.
Yeah.
And now, she's making her mortgage payments and investing in her equity as opposed to paying rent.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, which
that's awesome.
Of course that's kind of the goal for a lot of people is to make that investment into your future, because equity is the thing that I plan to leverage here soonish.
Yeah.
But when you have that opportunity to use those things, that's great. But it comes with the need for the knowledge of how to get over that first hump, what all you need to organize and what to do. And then having great resources, real estate agents, Zillow experts, loan officers, right there that you can make connections with. This sounds absolutely fantastic for anybody looking to get into a home.
Yeah.
Last thoughts before we go ahead and close this up today on the process that you guys went through, how other people should be considering this, or comments about the upcoming seminar.
I'd have questions ready. If you're thinking about getting into a home, bring us questions. We'd love to answer all. We have a lot of information. We have a lot of different angles that we're going to be talking about. So just having questions ready, being excited, and we're excited to meet everybody and have a great conversation.
And what would you suggest for the people that don't know what questions to ask?
Watch TikTok.
Honestly, there you go. You can get a lot of information out there on the social media channels, looking some stuff up. Come with your assumptions.
Yeah.
And verify them or get them debunked.
Yeah. I think coming to questions will arise when you're there. Once you're listening to everything and you're listening to the workshop and what they have to share, you'll start thinking of questions. So even if you don't have any questions coming in, you're just like, maybe I'll buy a house in a year or two, and then you come, and then more than likely they'll leave super excited. They'll want to buy a house after that.
Yeah.
But
say even if it's not a year or two, you know that it's in the future. Your goals is to own a home in some way, shape, or form. But you're looking out into the fog and you have no clue what that is, other than the fact that everybody else out there has one.
Yeah. Exactly.
Showing up, just that first bit of information is probably going to get all those gears spinning.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Or even if you think you have all the information and you're ready to go, you might come and realize you're actually 6 months out.
Yeah.
So.
Very true.
Yeah.
Or you might think you're 2 years out and come and realize that you're only 6 months out.
Yeah, exactly. That's why I said some people
a lot more often than you think, but
yeah, it's very true.
And a lot of it might go in and out in 1 year, out the other, but
hey, you've heard it the first time,
right. And that's the first time. The next time we come around to it, you'll hear it again, and it'll probably be a lot more likely to stick. So
yeah, there you go. Well, Brenna, Kekoa, thank you guys very much for coming on, sharing your experience with your first time buying a home, as well as the information for everybody out there about that kind of general process that they can expect. And if any of you out there listening really want to get yourself moving in the direction of home ownership, seminar happening March 16th at CBC. We will be posting a link to a sign-up sheet on the podcast itself, and keep an eye out on our social media channels, Brenna's social media channels. There will be a lot more information about this. And if you feel like you need to bring your credit score with you to ask about that one, go sign up. On the HAPO website, there is some information on Savvy Money or free credit score. And that is a great piece of information to bring with you, so that they can direct you. All the wonderful resources, real estate agents, loan officers, financial coaches can help direct you on a path to making a plan to getting that first home purchased. Anyways, this has been Dollars and Cents, HAPO Community Credit Union's Financial Literacy Podcast. Until next time.